So, in the promised follow-up that I did to my first NFL video from a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to start off by saying sports ratings are down. But that's not surprising. Everybody had predicted this. Well, most people had predicted this, and people that I follow here on YouTube also predicted that this would happen. But you're not hearing about it. The story isn't compelling enough for the mainstream media to pay any attention to it. But I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, hiss and foes, welcome to the Culture Casino.
The NFL is the king of sports. Well, at least here in this country, and it has been that way for a very long time. The ratings for NFL football have been the juggernaut that earns the league anywhere of $8 to $10 billion in just the TV contracts alone, not counting merchandise. It's impressive. One of the reasons that they actually created their own network was to further take advantage of the popularity of the sport. It allowed them to broadcast news and information and the occasional football game and take those revenues in for themselves. So, when these ratings fall off, that's a significant loss, not just to the television companies that have purchased the rights to those broadcasts, but also to the NFL itself because, hey, they own a piece of the broadcast as well. Now, the Nielsen ratings have always been something that we've relied on for a source of information as to how a program is performing. When it comes to sports, live sports, there's always been a particular way of going about doing business, and that's changed. So when we look at the fact that on Thursday Night Football, they lost over 1 million viewers year over year, that's fairly significant. In fact, it should be terrifying, not just to the broadcasters, but to the advertisers, because now you're getting less eyeballs on your product. And of course, we all know why that's happening. It's because of all of the virtue signaling, all of the politics, and everything that we are trying to get out of entertainment. Those of us here in pop culture that have been witnessing this problem since a little before 2015, I'd say, but most noticeably from 2015 onward, have been pointing out that this is actually a problem because people don't want to consume an agenda or politics or a bunch of other nonsense when they're trying to be entertained and enjoy some escapism. Well, sports obviously wasn't listening, and the NBA has been paying for that for quite some time. They're experiencing the lowest playoffs and conference playoffs that they've ever seen, well, at least in a very long time, and nobody's truly interested. I think going back in time to when the Denver Nuggets were actually in the NBA Finals, that was the last time that we saw ratings that were this low. Well, anyway, that's not the reason they're low this time. It's because they've painted a message on the court and they've offended over 50% of their fans. Right now, there's a Twitter war going on between Mark Cuban and Clay Travis over the NBA, and Mark Cuban is taking an L on this one. That viral tweet is, it doesn't look good for him. And that thing's there forever because the internet's there forever. So if he deletes the tweets like he's done before in the past when he said the wrong thing, it's already out there. In fact, I think it's immortalized on Clay Travis's website, Outkick the Coverage. Now, none of this is very interesting to the people out there in pop culture, except for the fact that we all saw this coming, and we figured it would make its way into every other element of entertainment, which it has. That's bad news for everybody, guys, and I don't want to say I told you so. But anyway, so with Thursday night being down, let's take a look at Sunday night. Sunday night games usually are the capper. They're broadcast during prime time on Sunday night with the competition being, not very significant. It's used to be that Sunday nights were the nights that a lot of networks tried to avoid putting good programming on because they didn't want to, kill that programming. If you were put on a Sunday night, you were put there for a reason. Either you were a juggernaut or you were something that they didn't really care terribly much about. Now, with NBC Sunday Night Football is a huge property. It's something that they rely on year over year. It's their only major football game usually, although I guess they do some Thursday night games, which are insignificant. But it's their only real game of the week. So it's a big deal to them. And they usually score incredibly well. In fact, last year, the 7 to 11 rating, that's 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. rating, which is considered prime time, was a 6.56. That's a huge number. Well, this year, their Thursday night football game from 7 to 11 scored a 3.51. That's right, a 46% drop in viewership. That's nearly 50%. If you don't think you're losing viewers, I can't help you. And what's really interesting is when you compare the sked to last week, it's down 10% to last week. So they lost again against last week's numbers as well. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, the week 2 ratings picked up. And to a certain extent, you're right. A lot of the local games were intriguing, and those numbers were reflected in the ratings. However, when the games are just not that interesting, you're going to have even lower ratings than normal. Also, take into account that as I reported during a live stream last week, and maybe a little earlier on than that, Nielsen has gone about changing the way they do out-of-home ratings. They're actually including them in live sports now when they report the ratings. Now, they were working on starting this trend in about 2019, but it wasn't implemented until August 1st of this year, 2020. So now we're not going to get an apples-to-apples comparison. It's going to be apples to oranges, and it will be that way for a significant period of time, with the numbers being artificially higher because of that new demographic group, segment, whatever you want to call it, being included in these ratings. That's a problem. What they should be doing is reporting it both ways, without the out-of-home viewing and with it, because then we can compare where these ratings truly are. Regardless, this is a trend that's going to continue in the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and now to some extent hockey. Because if you continue to put political messaging in your product, you're going to lose viewers. Because those people see that type of messaging as an insult. You don't think I'm right? The numbers prove that I'm right. People are not interested in this stuff, and they aren't interested in being demonized by the people who perform these activities on the playing field, on the court, or on the ice, or on the field. It just depends on, what sport you're playing. You still have athletes, actors, and other parties insulting the very fans that they rely on to earn a living. I'm disappointed in Hollywood, as you all know, and that I talk about on a regular basis here on my channel, but I'm even more disappointed in sports, which I thought would have an easy time avoiding these subjects, and they just haven't. At least some of the players have come to their senses and have realized that some of the people that they're celebrating or that are being put on their helmets were dangerous criminals. I think some of them are realizing that they've rushed to judgment and supported people whom they normally wouldn't like to affiliate themselves with. And while to a certain extent I agree that, being a drug dealer and, a murderer, shouldn't automatically mean a death sentence immediately at the hands of another person, I think that you think you're going to be hard pressed to defend that to most of the U.S. society, because we think criminals should be in jail. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, and I don't like to get political on my channel, so let's just put it this way. Stop insulting your audience, Hollywood, sports entertainment. Try to support the people that support you. Well, hopefully you've come to some conclusions on your own today. There sure are a lot to draw from all of these little bits of information about the ratings and what's happening to entertainment across the board. And I've come to my own conclusions, but you should have your own. And be sure to support other independent creators on the platform, because I know they go out of their way to make great material for you all the time. They do a lot of research, more so than any probably mainstream source that anybody could consume right now, with the exception of maybe people like Tim Pool. Anyway, I really appreciate your support myself personally, because this channel growth has been just wonderful, and I appreciate everybody who has helped me get to this point. I also appreciate everybody who's going through and making sure I get my watch hours as quickly as possible, because, you know, that's kind of important as well. You only have a limited amount of time on YouTube to get those numbers within a year, and they've changed the rules on how to pre-apply for monetization, so I'd like to get the hours sooner rather than later, but I appreciate it all the same. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, and until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.